It's always when I'm the most tired that I need to do these videos that I know will help people. This is one of the ones where I had to learn after a long, frustrating process. What this is a Acura MDX. It's an '05. It's a cute little bug. These are a good car. I like them. But the trouble with this one, I'm doing the timing belt and water pump, and in order to get everything off and going, you got to pull off the harmonic balancer. Well, that can prove to be a very daunting task at times. When you go to pull these off, they've got a special bolt with a big fat washer on them, and ultimately what happens is these kind of bind down and rust, just even if they rust just a teeny tiny bit. You know, this one's not that old, it's only 6 years old, but it's never had a timing belt done. But this washer, look at all the surface, we're talking surface contact here for a minute. The surface contact between the bolt and the washer is pretty severe. You know, there's a lot of contact there, and then again, you know, where it's just the outer ring, it's not that whole surface, but even that outer ring generates a lot of surface contact, and if it rusts, it's almost impossible to get it out. Now, there's a special tool that you can buy that fits inside. Let me turn this at an angle so you can see it. But you've got a hexagonal shape on the inside to hold this still, to be able to brace it. And there's a tool that fits inside so that you can just really hold on to it. This is one that I built. This is a special plumbing socket that's used on some kind of plumbing. I don't know. You find it in the plumbing section of your hardware store. It's for a special kind of a tap or fixture, whatever. So I took some strap metal and I welded strap metal around the outside of it to make it the right size so it would fit in there. And then you can use a breaker bar and an extension and break that free. Well, that's fine and great, but I've had some of them that are so stuck. You know, like older Hondas where people buy a super reliable car and they don't drive it at all. They didn't even need to buy a super reliable car. So you've got a car that's like 15, 20 years old and it's got low miles. You get to that, you know, 60,000 or 90,000 mark. Most Hondas will go to 90,000 before you gotta do the timing belt water pump. But, you know, and that doesn't work. So there's a better, faster, easier way, but it is a little bit more expensive than buying the tool if you can find one. And the better method is to heat it up with a torch. Watch your pawn shop, watch your local Craigslist or other listings, and see if you can find one of these things. It's an oxyacetylene setup. I like the little caddy one because it doesn't take up a lot of room. But the disadvantage to that, well, let me just get to the job first. We'll talk about the rest later. What you want to do, I'm going to heat this up just for demonstration. But what you want to do, and what I did to get this one off, is you just heat it up around the outside of the washer. Don't heat the harmonic balancer. Don't really heat the bolt. You can deform it and not get your socket on. But either heat along the bottom edge of the bolt, that little flange that you see right here, or heat the washer, and it'll come right off with your impact gun. When you go to light your torch, there's a bunch of different ways to skin a cat, and a lot of guys will tell you a lot of different things. What I found that works really well for me is, let me get a tripod. Let me start this. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. Just like you got to heat up that, I already heated this one, I don't want to abuse it too much. But with your torch, you've got your valves on the bottles. You open up those all the way. You want this one, which is for your oxygen, closed, and you want your red one, which is your acetylene, closed, and you want your oxygen wide open. Now, I just leave mine open all the time. I always close my bottles after every time I use a torch. So there's no acetylene running, and on the trigger I've got oxygen. So with that being said, I crack open the acetylene just a little bit and get a nice good feather going. Then you open up your oxygen, and what you want to do is you want to get about an inch feather, that little blue feather, and you want to put the blue feather, that's the compressed air line, by the way. People are freaking out, you're gonna blow up! But you just put that feather on there. If you want to cut and you want to just slice through the metal, you heat it up until it's red and glowing, and then you hit the oxygen and you can just cut right through it. It's no big deal. But for loosening purposes, we're not going to cut it, we're just going to heat it up. Get it to the point where you're about to cut it, it's glowing just like that. That's even too much, but these heat up a lot slower but you just heat it on this part right here until it starts to glow red, and then hit it with your impact gun. And what that'll do is it'll burn up and finish oxidizing the job that rust was doing to begin with. Listen to that. It's got a little water on it, it's cooking off. But anyway, you do that and hit it with the impact gun, it's going to come right off. It'll save you a whole bunch of time. And then when you're done, you want to take your bolt, the whole assembly, grab it with pliers, not your hand obviously. You burn yourself. Grab the thing, chuck it in the dog's water dish with the harmonic balancer. It's going to get a little residual heat. The harmonic balancers have a rubber thing all the way around here to dampen it. So anyway, you just take the whole thing, dump it in the dog's water dish, dump the bolt in, change your dog's water, and that'll cool them off instantly so that you don't have premature failure of your harmonic balancer. It goes through so many heat cycles. This is nothing. They can handle it. I've been doing this for years. They're not going to be like, oh, your timing seal's going to cook or melt. It doesn't have time to transfer the heat that fast. I mean, by the time you heat it up, pull it out, it's not a problem. It's a really effective method, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. Feel free to naysay or whatever, but it works really well. I've been doing it for years and years and years, and with long histories, I haven't had any kind of problems with oil leaks, harmonic balancer failures, or any of the like. So anyway, cheers.